So I was watching a news article on CNN, news video, whatever, and they were talking about how the Russian-backed radio Sputnik is being played in major U.S. cities, one of those being the nation's capital. And they called it propaganda radio. But here's my thing. I don't trust any story where one side tries to silence the other side. Why can't we hear what Russia's talking about? Like, why can we not hear what they're saying, what their issues are? Because I'll tell you one thing. I didn't know that the Ukrainians had a special forces that used Nazi propaganda that were white nationalists, etc. I had no idea what that was. You know who I found that out from? Putin. Putin put that news out and said there's an issue with Nazis in the Ukraine. Before he put that out, nobody was going to say nothing. I ain't know nothing about that shit. I ain't know what the hell was going on. But the thing is, I cannot believe a story when you're trying to silence the other side. Why can't we hear what Russia's saying? Why can't we hear what's going on, what their issues are? Maybe it's propaganda, true. But a lot of the Western news is propaganda as well. And I know it's way far and below actual war that's going on, but it's like the issue between Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, where she has a gag order on him where he's not allowed to say anything, but she's online and everything talking all types of nonsense. And it's like, why are you trying to silence him if he's guilty? If you're telling the truth, why are you trying to silence him from saying anything? And this is my issue with Russia, etc. It's like, as soon as something like this happens, it's like, oh, we got to stop the propaganda machine that's going on in Russia. No, I want to hear it. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what the reasoning is, because there's a lot of things that I'm learning just from having the internet, which YouTube hasn't been able to stop, which CNN hasn't been able to stop, what the U.S. government hasn't been able to stop. Like the videos of the Ukrainian women where U.S. soldiers were setting up tanks and anti-aircraft guns next to a fucking school. Next to a school. They were setting up soldiers next to hospitals. And then when it gets bombed, it's like, they're attacking civilians. No, they're attacking a military target, and you know this. So there's a lot of propaganda that's being pushed out to Ukraine that's already been getting exposed. And the thing is, you're basically using your own civilians as shields. And then when the civilians die, you're using it as kind of like a, oh, feel bad for Ukraine, feel bad for us. And the reality is, you made this happen. You hid your troops around them, and you can see on the tape. Tape is somewhere on YouTube. I'm not going to share it because I don't want to reuse content violation again. But the video is somewhere on YouTube, and basically the soldiers tell the women, what are you going to give up our position? Like, what are you doing? And she's like, get away from here. There's children here. There's children in here. Get your soldiers away from here. And they're literally saying right there on tape that they're trying to hide among civilians. So I want to hear what Russia has to say. Stop trying to silence them. I want to hear both sides of this story. Now, I feel what's going on with Russia has more to do with just this NATO thing. Because it's like, all right, the Ukraine is going to join NATO. Now, that's a reason to get up in arms, because it's like, bro, you're going to bring this Western philosophy to our back door, like right next to us. This was the issue that China had with the base being in the Philippines, Thailand, and Americans just being so close to China. Like, what the hell are you doing over here? So I see his issue with that. That makes sense. But I feel like there's a lot more to this. And our government and our news is not allowing us to hear the other side of the story. I want to hear what's going on. Now, if Russia attacks America, I don't care what the reason is, or we're going to fight back. And I don't care what good reason you had. Like, we're not just going to let you come take our country. I don't care how corrupt the government is. I don't care how bad the police department is. You not walking in here and taking a damn thing. I promise you that shit. I promise you that I'll die before I let you just come in here and take the country over and do what you want. But as far as the Ukraine's not even our ally. They're not even part of NATO. As a matter of fact, in 2010, a decade ago, the Ukraine basically said, fuck NATO. We don't want to join y'all. We don't want nothing to do with that Western nonsense. We're going to stay our own nation. And boom. Okay, well, and then Russia attacked them and took part of their thing. So I want to hear what Russia has to say. Stop silencing one side and not allowing us to hear what the other side said. Maybe Russia is 100% wrong. Maybe Ukraine's wrong. We really don't know, because we're only being allowed to hear one side of the story. I want to hear both sides. I want to hear what's going on. I want to hear what Russia's talking about And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. And there's no reason in a country that's free, a democracy, that we should be silencing radio stations. This is the end of democracy when we allow things like this to happen. When we allow our government to silence whole countries, there's a problem. Because this is our so-called issue with what communist countries do. This is what communists do. China, Russia, they've definitely done things in the past and now to shut down their people from reaching out to the rest of the world. So I want to hear what Russia's talking about and what's going on. And I ain't the only one. Stop silencing a side of the story so we can all get both pieces and make our own decision.